Thank you. Thank you very much. You all look amazing from here. Please sit down. Thank you. After that introduction, I want to hear what I have to say. You guys just put me on the spot, but I know God will help me. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to have you. It's so good to see you all. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Oh, Tolu, I see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here for Jesus. I'm just going to laugh at the devil. He's always trying. Something amazing happened the course of the week. I mean, we started publicity about our conference like 3 months ago. Okay. We started publicity like 3 months ago, and um, we spoke to the authorities of this place, and they actually agreed. The head, we were very blessed. We met with the head of the commission, and he actually agreed to give us this all for free. You know, I took I took him for his words, and not knowing that the way, of course, the right thing to do was to get a written documentation and all that. But because of my paid employment, and I was always taking out time to come here and to see him and all of that. So I just took him for his words that okay, when I start my vacation, I'll come and see him and sort everything out. So I came here on Wednesday, and he had traveled on Monday, and he's on a medical leave, and his phones are switched off. He's not going to reply to any emails. He's not. So they say you're not going to have your conference. So people are calling me for registration, and they're telling me that, oh, see you on Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, see you. And there's no venue. And people, everyone was calling me. The choristers were calling me, oh, I'm coming, oh, we are going to get there by 9. And inside my mind, I'm like, there's no even venue. You don't even know what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, by 9, you have to be there. And, we just kept moving. But because, the devil will try, but he will fail. And we remain undaunted. We are not moved by what he does. We are not moved by what he throws at us. Because we know that he's just a toothless bulldog. When he barks, he can't do nothing. Just like Bologi said, that was a very good point. Bologi, you humble me all the time. Can we put our hands together for Bologi? She's just amazing. Like you read into my notes, right? And he will always try. He knows he cannot overcome us. And the only thing he can do, he tried it the last conference. So when he started with this one again, and I came here, I was trying to sort things out, and everything was just jam. As in, no way. In fact, Thursday, I was in this place all through the day. Eventually, they asked us to pay a sum of money at that point of the conference where all the budgets were already dispensed. But God made a way, you know. As God will have it, He had instructed me. For some reason, I just set apart some certain money. I told myself that, okay, I'll buy. My daughter said she wants a bicycle. My son said he wants what overboard. So I told myself I was going to buy them all of that. You know, I didn't know that God had a bigger plan. He didn't. He wanted this to happen. So immediately they started and everything, and eventually they were asked us to pay. I just brought out that money and paid because we live sacrificially. Our life is a sacrifice because He made the greater sacrifice for us. So we can give Him anything. We owe Him our lives. We owe Him our entirety. We owe Him all that we have because anything that we have, He gave up to us. So I said to Him, Father, thank you for even making a way. Because at the initial state, there was no even, it was like, no. And the truth was, at some point, I was afraid. But then I just knew that it was going to end in praise. So I said to God, just fix this. You need to fix this. And, so many suggestions. I mean, you might want to consider another venue. You might want to postpone. Postpone what? Reverend Laurie is going to be here with us in a bit. NHN is going to be here with us in a bit, and all our amazing speakers. So, God is awesome. God is awesome. God is awesome. So I have a welcome address, and I'm just going to read. I'm just going to read it out. I'm not Bologi, and I'm not going to try to be Bologi. So somebody say, read, baby, read. Thank you. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, okay, some people came out of town. I know the bestie. They all came out of town Thank you. Did anybody else come out of town to attend the conference? Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Can you come and give me a hug? If it's not too much for you. Can you come? Can you come? Come and give me a hug. If it's not too much for you, take your time. Anytime you get here, I'll just get the hug and move on. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for paying that sacrifice and all. Do we have anybody getting married in 2019? Anyone here? Okay, come, 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 come. Anyone getting married 2019? Anyone getting, okay, not by faith, actually, if you are getting married in Abuja. I know a lot of weddings is going to happen, surprise marriages is going to happen in 2019. But if you are getting married in 2019, we have a special surprise for you. You came out of town. Thank you. What's your name? Amaka. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. What's your name?
Thank you from Benin City.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So anyone getting married in 2019? Okay. 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 We'll get back to that. We'll come back to that. So I'm going to read. Okay. Here I go. Right while we were still planning for Be Found conference in June, the Lord began to instruct me about Undaunted. I heard the word clearly, Undaunted. At that time, I didn't really understand what that meant until after Be Found conference. I remember I had just gone through one of the most difficult times of my life. Lots of betrayal. I had people I had labored for and with persecute me. I remember the morning of the conference. I wasn't sure who would come or how things will be. I was just obeying God. In fact, if you came close to me, you would have seen me trembling. God has placed this assignment, Blooming Amazon's ministry, in my hands, to raise daughters who will chase after him. And this is me, a broken vessel. Let me share some part of my brokenness with you. Some 11 years ago, I met this amazing guy who happens to be my husband. The chemistry between us, oh my gosh. He could burn down an entire nation. But I'm not kidding, like seriously. I remember there was this particular time I went to Lagos to see him. And we just couldn't conclude our goodbyes till he got on the plane with me just to escort me back to Abuja. Yes, our love story is funny like that. And I hope it inspires you. On our second date, he already asked me to marry him. And I immediately told him, yes, of course, I will marry you. I just knew with this person I could weather all life storm. In no time, I was pregnant. So here I am, someone who got pregnant before marriage, and God is sending me to raise daughters for him. What if people got to find out? In fact, on my son's birthday, someone had sent me a DM to say, your wedding anniversary was just a few months ago. Were you pregnant for him before your wedding? Well, even though if I could turn back the hands of time, I would do things differently. Marriage remains honorable with the bed undefiled, and premarital sex is a sin. God's standard won't change for any of us. I gave God all the excuses why he couldn't use me. Then he reminded me that he chooses. He is the one who chooses. And he doesn't choose on worldly standards. So each time someone reminds me of how unqualified I am, I simply say to them, you don't even know half of it. I'm really unqualified. But God still chose me. So like me, many of us have 1,000,001 excuses not to start that business, not to answer God's call, not to get out of that abusive relationship, not to commit to that marriage. When we hear God's call, when we feel the gentle, perhaps not so gentle, depending on how it deals with you, urge of God's Spirit for us to take a bold step, take a risk, serve others, we often hold back. We think we lack the courage, the strength, the wisdom, the money, the experience, the education, the reputation, the organization, and the backing. We feel like Moses, when from out of the burning bush, God called him to speak for him before Pharaoh. And Moses answered, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent. I'm slow to speech and tongue. Please send someone else. The scripture reference for that is Exodus chapter 4, verse 10 to 13. Not me, God. I'm afraid, poor, stupid, unqualified, daunted. But all through scriptures, God hardly called the qualified. He qualifies the called. Our response to insist on our own unworthiness or that of those around us is an indication that there is great danger ahead. If we allow other people to tell us what we are or not qualified to do, we will limit what God wants to do with us. We may never get to those who really need our help. Imagine if I got daunted by my feelings of unworthiness. Blam would never have been born. God is looking to raise undaunted daughters, firebrands, unafraid of opposition, undaunted by negativity, unbroken by adversity, and uncorrupted by evil. If there was ever a time to consume ourselves with the vision of our Heavenly Father, now is the time. Beloved, we were wired to burn. Every believing woman at her best is burning fire and a shining light. There is a touch of the Spirit set at the core of your being as a believer. And that anointed flame must become so fluid that it flows into everything that you are, everything that you do, and everything that you give the world. God chooses us to do something for Him. And I'm not talking about ministry alone. In spite of our past failures, limitations, and inadequacies, remember Abraham was old, Sarah was impatient, Noah got drunk, Miriam was a gossip, Jacob was a cheat, Jonah ran away, David had an affair, Elijah was moody, 1 minute bold and courageous, the next minute fearful and on the run. Peter had a temper. Paul, my darling Apostle Paul, I'm married. I normally say this joke to my husband that when I get to heaven, I'm going to first look for Apostle Paul. I like him. I think he's a very intelligent man. Look at all the epistles that he wrote. I really like him. And my husband will be like, you're supposed to first look for me. Anyway, Paul, my darling Apostle Paul, was a persecutor. Martha was a warrior. Thomas doubted. Zacchaeus was shot. Lazarus was dead. But God had a purpose for each of these people. He chose them. He qualified them. He called them just as He is calling you and I. The most potent factor in becoming daunted by far is fear. So many of us keep to ourselves because of the fear people will ridicule our size. You struggle with food for the fear you will gain weight. You don't date because you fear being rejected. You go along with a decision at work that you don't believe in because you fear speaking up will set you at odds with the team. You avoid commitment outside your home because you are afraid someone will abuse your child. And so the enemy keeps you from living. John chapter 10 verse 10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, Jesus warned. Many of us have casted and binded the spirit of fear, but Jesus' instructions are simple. John chapter 21 verse 17. Do you love me? Jesus asked Peter. It's a question for each of us. Matthew chapter 14 verse 22 to 23. If you love me, he was saying, then look at me. Matthew 16:24. If you love me, follow me. Luke 10:37. If you love me, go and do likewise. John 31:15 to 17. If you love me, feed my sheep. What God needs from us is just to go. No matter what we have or what we don't. It's the will to persevere even in the face of fear. God's power resides in us, but we are not always confident of that because we can't see it. You can't run from fear because fear will catch up with you. The only thing to do is face fear headlong. Lest its root become a fully grown weed that can overtake your life. Instead, we can despair fear with God's presence. So today, we'll be listening to our speakers as they gift us with vulnerability and share their journey of becoming fearless and indeed undaunted. So I urge you, sisters, open up your hearts and spirits as God will be birthing business ideas. As God will be birthing business ideas true as from this conference. It's going to be a great time. Determine in your heart, nothing will upset you. You are going to soak in God's presence. Relax. Make friends. You are as good as the quality of your relationship. We have well taken care restrooms. We are providing lodge for every attendant. So just relax and enjoy the presence of God. You are going to have an amazing time.